Hello everyone. This is Natasha here from the Nextwork team, and I am super excited to be going to do a AI project with you all today. So you might have heard buzzwords around AI agents or AI workflows. It's becoming a big AI trend for 2025, and what better then learn this concept with hands-on projects. So welcome to your very first project in a series of AI agents projects. And this one is all about building your very first AI workflow. So we're gonna build an AI workflow that uses AI to manage your calendar today. We're gonna dive into a little bit of the details of this project and then get started. So the difficulty of this is mildly spicy. What this means is there will be a few things that are slightly technical about this project. There's going to be a few things that might require you to know things like JSON, or might require you to understand how to connect a few apps together, but it's also completely possible to do this without being an engineer. It's going to take about 60 minutes to complete, and it's completely free, so you won't need to pay to do this project today. All right, you're going to need a Google Calendar account or an Outlook account. The project instructions will follow a Google Calendar. We'll use a Google Calendar, but you can always replace it with Outlook if you like. And yeah, if you're new to AI workflows, you're gonna get to know this new tool called N8N, which is a tool that helps us build these workflows. You don't need to have any N8N experience to get started, and we're gonna learn how to connect ChatGPT with Google Calendar to set up that workflow. Okay, so I know I've teased a little bit about what we're building today, but what is it really? What is our workflow going to do? So this workflow is going to automate the process of adding new events in your calendar. How do you do that today? Chances are you usually have to open up your calendar app, select a start and end time in your calendar, write an event title, click save, close the app, and then do it all over again every time you have a new event that you want to add to your calendar. So calendar management and the time to do that can really add up. So what we're going to be doing today is understanding whether we can automate this with a workflow. By the end of this project, what the workflow is going to do is help you with adding events to your calendar. All you're going to do is send a text to your workflow and say, hey, I want to book a meeting for tomorrow 9 a.m. And your workflow is going to say, gotcha, I'm gonna book it now. And it's gonna add the calendar event to your calendar without you having to go into the app, create a start and end time, and do all of that manually. Isn't it so cool? I really like how AI agents and workflows are it's just such a big term and such a big trend that's happening, but you can definitely do it yourself, and it can be as big or as small of a solution as you want. And I'm really excited to be, diving into the details, really, and see it all work by the end of this project. All right, a big shout out to everyone that's saying hello. Hi to the chords, good to see you. We also have Ariana saying hi. Hi, Ariana. If you like a recording of this project, definitely check out our YouTube channel. You can find us under the live tab of our YouTube channel called Nextwork. We have Marzena saying hello. We have Peter saying hello. Nikhil is here. Nikhil says hi. Oh my gosh. Dinesh Raj is here as well. Hi, it's so good to see you. You're doing such an amazing job in the community. I've really been seeing all of the projects you've been posting. It's an amazing streak, so nice work and keep it up. And we also have Mohammed here saying hi. Hi, Mohammed. Someone is saying that the lighting looks immaculate. I have to agree. It does look pretty good. We might need to keep doing this every week. All right, everyone. So let's get ready to set up an AI workflow using N8N. And then we're going to integrate it with ChatGPT and your calendar so that we can set up this workflow that automates creating new calendar events for us. As you might expect, ChatGPT is going to be kind of the brains of the workflow that's going to learn how to convert your requests, like I want to set a meeting for tomorrow 9 a.m., into instructions that says create new event that starts from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So it's going to be a very important part, and that's why it's called an AI workflow. And of course, there's going to be a secret mission for today's project, and we're going to level up your AI workflow skills with prompt engineering. Great work, everyone. So as always, we're going to do this demo using the high-touch version of this project guide. The high-touch version gives you every single step, and we're just going to walk through it bit by bit. If you have any questions, add it to the chat at any time, or you can add a comment and we'll make sure to get back to you. We have a few questions before we get started, so I might just address that now before we dive into the steps for this project. We have a great question from Noob Gamer, and this is going to be really cool. I think we are looking into a DeepSeek project. And I think knowing the performance of DeepSeek and how it's very, very cost effective, isn't that such a good tool to use to learn like how to use an AI model? Absolutely, it's in the kind of projects roadmap coming up. Hi Faris, and hello Justin. Okay, so let's get started by talking about what we're doing in this project. So in this project, we will demonstrate how to build an AI workflow. We're going to do it using N8N. This workflow will help us. This workflow will help us book new events in our calendars. Simply send a text to your workflow, and it will schedule events in a Google Calendar, in our Google Calendar for us. We're doing this project. I just ran out of characters, well that was quick. Simply send a text to our AI workflow, and it will schedule events in our Google Calendar for us. We're doing this project to learn how to automate tasks with AI. Pretty cool. All right, all done. So let's get started with step one. I'm so excited to be introducing a tool called N8N to you all. If N8N is a new tool to you, there's nothing to worry about. Just know that N8N is a tool that helps you with building workflows. So if you're, oh, I just realized my camera froze for a second there. So it's completely free to sign up. And then it's also a no-code tool, which means you can build your workflow just by using drag and drop blocks. N8N has a lot of features that can be very, very comprehensive, but it can also be very, very simple. So we're going to use the simple route today and then eventually build towards a more complicated and more complex AI workflow across the series. Cool, but let's get started by mentioning that in this step, we will sign up to N8N for free because N8N is our platform for building AI workflows. Okay, very cool. We're also going to kickstart. Oh, I don't know if we're actually. No, actually, we'll just leave it there for. I'm not gonna spoil too much. All right. So to sign up for N8N, it's actually pretty simple. All you gotta do is head to the N8N website, and we'll just open that over here. Here we are. Okay. And we're gonna click on Get Started for free. Before we do that though, as we mentioned, N8N is all about helping you automate tasks. It's a workflow builder. And if you're new to the idea of a workflow, just know that workflows are sets of steps designed to complete a task. So an example of a workflow is something like, what's an easy workflow we can talk about? How to order a cup of coffee. Step 1, walk into the coffee shop. Step 2, check out the menu. Step 3, pick your coffee. Step 4, order. Step 5, pay. Step 6, collect your coffee. Here's an example of a workflow on how to, get a cup of coffee. And the cool thing about workflows is you can automate them. And automating a workflow just means those steps can happen on their own without you needing to do things manually. Imagine if you could automate the workflow of ordering a cup of coffee. That means you could just stand outside the coffee shop and somehow a cup of coffee is going to end up in your hands because it's been automated for you. Automating really helps you save time and reduces errors. And that the magic of workflows is now that AI is here, you can start creating AI workflows. AI workflows will integrate AI to automate tasks and decision making for you. For example, you can use image recognition, which is like an AI tool, to sort and categorize photos you upload to a folder. And this is something you can actually see a lot with a lot of photo management apps. You can actually search croissant, and then all of a sudden you'll see all of the croissants you've taken a photo of show up as results. That's been awesome. And there's definitely some AI behind the scenes to help categorize your photos every time you upload them. There's also predictive analytics, and that helps you forecast sales trends, for example, in a generated monthly report. And then there's also generative AI that you could use to automatically draft the reply to new emails in your inbox. So as you can see, these are some examples of putting AI into your workflow to help you with making decisions or automating those tasks. Cool. So we'll take a screenshot of the N8N homepage so that it can be in our documentation to showcase which tool we're using today. And I'm just going to upload that screenshot here. And let's talk about N8N in the documentation. We're using N8N in this project to build our workflow. Workflows are sequences of tasks that I would say that completes an action? Is that a good way to say it? I would say, sequences of action that completes a task. I got my words mixed up there. You can involve AI in a workflow by using AI to automate some of the decision making or actions, e.g., generative AI to draft email replies. Cool. So now we're going to get started for free. Off we go. All right, here we go. And let's register for N8N. Again, it doesn't cost money to register for N8N, so please feel comfortable to just put in your details and know you won't be asked for any payment or card information. You don't need a debit card or a credit card or any card to start this trial. In the meantime, though, before we dive into that, just wanted to do a shout out to everyone, say, hey, what are we learning? Machine learning? Well, not quite. It's more about automation with AI today. We got hi teacher from Yasin. Hello. We've got people asking for the YouTube channel name. It's Nextwork, Nextwork. Please search up Nextwork on YouTube and you should be able to see us. I'm doing great. Thank you so much to DHR. And we have Cloud. very smart name, saying hello, hello. And we've got Ariana saying like operator. Is operator like a tool that you use, Ariana? That sounds like a pretty cool tool. I'll need to go search it up. And Joe's sending a lovely emoji. You got this. Thank you so much, Joe. I hope you enjoyed this project demo. Cool. Okay, so we're gonna just get started with that free trial of N8N now. Just enter in your full name and your email. You're not gonna see my password, but I'm gonna type it out live. And your account name. So think of your account name as your account's unique ID. So this is where you might need to be a little bit creative in case your account name's already taken. But that's okay. That's okay. Well, we'll roll with it. Account name, let's do Natasha Next Work. How about that? Nice. And yeah, all you gotta do next is select try for free and off you go. So for free, you're gonna get 14 days of access to N8N, and it also lets you build up to 5 workflows. We're building 1 workflow in this project, so you won't be maxing out your free trial limit at all. And yeah, 14 days, I hope that gives you enough time to complete this 1-hour project. There is also a way for you to get access to N8N for free, like for forever, for a longer period of time. But that setup takes a little bit of time to get ready. So we're just gonna create this free trial account. But then in later projects in this series, we're gonna show you how you can set up your own N8N without having to sign up for free trials, without having to pay for any subscriptions. Cool. So once you've signed up, we're just gonna keep going and speed run through some of these questions that's a part of the sign up. Which team are you on? You can say other if you're learning, you're like a student. And then the size of the company. Oh, oops, I wasn't supposed to do that. You can do, You can do I'm not using N8N for work. If you've never used any of these tools before, you can just select no. Okay. And how did you hear about N8N? You can totally answer a next work project as how you found out about N8N. Cool. Nice. So you don't need to invite team members to your workspace. You can just get started with this project right away. So let's select skip and let's start automating now. Cool. Thank you, Abhilash, for saying you guys are doing great. Kemi is here. Oh my goodness, Kemi, good to see you. And Yasin asked a great question about learning AI automation to build AI agents. This is actually one of the building blocks towards AI automation. So AI workflows, you can think of AI automation as a big umbrella. Under that big umbrella, there's AI workflows. And I think slightly overlapping with AI workflows is AI agents. We're actually going to talk about the differences between workflows and agents during this project, so you'll get to see the difference. But definitely, if you want to build an AI agent, bottom line, do this project so you can actually figure out, you can get the basics of automation before you try to do something more complex like building that agent. So Yasin, short answer, if you want to start learning AI automation, do a simple project like this one on building a workflow first to get a feel of automation, and then continue leveling up towards like building that AI agent. This is the first project of a series where you get to build work on AI automation with workflows and with agents. So start here and keep going with this series so you can get to building an AI agent at the end. Thank you. Okay. So shall we keep on going, team? Now that we're here, we can just quickly recap what we get for free with N8N, and let's type that in. I signed up for a free trial for N8N, which includes 14 days of access to N8N and the ability to create up to 5 workflows. I don't need to enter credit card details to start the trial, so I won't be charged. Okay, that is completely true. No need to enter credit card details. You won't get charged for setting up this trial. Okay, so welcome to your N8N workspace. You have an option here. You can either switch to the dark mode of N8N if you like dark mode, or you can skip dark mode and just jump straight to the next step. So completely up to you. Because this is a fully fledged project demo, I'm going to show you how to set up dark mode, but this is completely optional. So we're gonna first select settings, and then we're gonna scroll all the way down to find the theme option where you can switch to dark theme and save that. Look at that. Doesn't that look pretty good? I think it looks fly. So dark theme is on, and we can head back to, you can click on settings on that top left hand corner. I think I did that a bit quickly, but you can click on this settings option to get back to the home page. And now you're ready to do your project in dark mode. Great stuff, team. So let us start that new workflow now, shall we? Okay. As we mentioned, a workflow is a chain of tools and actions that you can string together and automate. Like we talked about before, if we had a workflow for ordering a cup of coffee, it's like going to the coffee shop, walking up to the cashier, ordering, waiting, getting that cup of coffee, leaving the coffee shop, enjoying that cup of coffee. And if you were to automate that, imagine if the coffee shop already produced your cup of coffee and like had it ready for you before you even needed to show up at the shop, because it already knew that it was going to happen. It already did it like clockwork, and it saves you a lot of time and decision making. So in this case, we're going to automate that process of booking new events into your digital calendar, which is super exciting. It's a big time saver, and you can do it all in N8N. So we're gonna start by creating that new workflow and then adding a chat trigger to the workflow. A chat trigger is basically a chat window that's gonna be how you send instructions to your workflow. You know, how are you gonna tell your workflow, I want to book in a meeting for tomorrow 8 a.m. You do that by sending your workflow a chat message, and that's why we need a trigger. In this step, we will kick off a new workflow in N8N. We're also setting up a chat trigger because this is how we give our workflow instructions. Very fun. I'm excited. Are you excited? Let's go. Okay, team. And shout out to Ariana for saying, I don't know what light mode is anymore. Straight to the dark side on every page. I'd have to agree. Cool beans. Okay, so back in your N8N workspace, we're going to start from scratch today. So select Start from Scratch. And we're going to add our very, very first step. Okay, so select Add First Step, and just know that this is where we set up the workflow trigger. There are so many options for workflow triggers, aren't there? Look at that. So trigger manually, on app event, on a schedule, on chat message. There's even other ways. On chat message is basically our chat trigger. And that just means that our workflow will get triggered every time we send our workflow a chat message. But as you can see, there's so many different triggers, and each trigger is a different way for you to tell your workflow to start and to start running the set of steps automatically. Okay, but we're gonna select the chat message one. Oh yeah, and before I mention, the workflow doesn't have to be triggered by something you do. You know, sending a chat message is something you do, like it's like an event. But you can also kick off a workflow at a specific time. Every day at 8 a.m., summarize my inbox. That's an example of a workflow that you can automate at specific times. Here we go. So we're gonna select on chat message. And here we are at the chat trigger setup. We're not gonna play too much with the chat trigger setup. We're actually going to just exit this. But if you ever wanna do something more advanced, this is where you can make your chat publicly available, which lets you integrate this chat into an app. You know, if you had, let's say you are a dentist and you want to let your clients or your customers be able to book an appointment with you over your website, you know, you could integrate this chat into your website so people can literally chat with your agent and book meetings into your calendar straight away. That's kind of advanced though. We're doing this in the next project or in one of the future projects of this series. So we'll just wait until then. Okay, so to set up a workflow, we first configured a trigger, which means the action or scheduled time that kicks off the workflow. Make it run. Our trigger is a chat message. Our other options include, you know, what were the other options that we saw? Other options include scheduled time, e.g. every day at 8 a.m. If you wanted to see what the other options were, you could totally, I think you would have to delete this actually, but then it's easy to select it again. But you can see all of the options now. On form submission, called by another workflow, trigger manually, all of those are options. So you can even mention, other options include scheduled time, manual trigger, form submission. I ran out of characters again. This happens so often. Our trigger is a chat message. Other options include scheduled time. All right, I'll just leave it at that. Other options include a scheduled time or a manual trigger. How about that? Great. This is awesome to see. Thank you, everyone. Everyone's jumping on the light mode versus dark mode train here. We also have Yasin asking, what is N8N? So N8N, you can think of it as the platform for building your workflow. It's kind of like how you would have, let's say, Google Docs as the platform for writing documents, creating new documents. In the same way, you go to N8N to create AI workflows. So let's test our chat trigger now. So the great thing about workflow automation tools like N8N is that you can always test your workflow bit by bit by bit. You don't need to set up the whole thing before you can start testing it. So let's just send our first test now by trying to open a chat. Okay, what's gonna happen when you send a chat to your workflow now? Just type in hello, see what happens. Okay, and an error happens. There was a problem because, what do you think? Well, we got an error because we haven't actually set up anything yet to process a chat message. Our workflow doesn't have a brain. It literally only has a way to trigger the workflow, but there's like no brain to figure out what you want to do when you send in a chat message. So let's give it a brain. Okay, we're gonna give it a brain by integrating our workflow with an AI model. So introducing the AI part of this AI workflow. So this model will be responsible for turning your commands like hello, book a meeting for tomorrow 8 a.m. into instructions for scheduling those events. In this step, we will integrate AI, i.e. a chat model, into our workflow because it will act as the brain of our workflow. I know I said workflow twice in the sentence, which makes me feel like it doesn't flow very well. Do you have any suggestions on how I could rewrite this sentence? Completely optional. So in this step, we will integrate AI, which is, in this case, a chat model, and we're gonna put it into our workflow to act as the brains of our workflow. This will be important for processing messages we add to the chat and turn our commands into instructions. Great. Okay, so we're gonna select the plus button, which will add a new node. Just think of every single block in this workflow as a node. The trigger is a node, the AI model is a node, Google Calendar, a node. So we're gonna create a new node. And how are we going to be integrating AI into this workflow? We're gonna do this by selecting Advanced AI and then selecting AI Agent. Great. So now we have an AI agent in this workflow. Okay. So are we really creating an AI agent here? This is something for you to think about. Do you know what is an AI agent? Do you know why we're calling this project an AI workflow instead of build your AI agent? Because there's a difference, and let's learn about the difference so we can be, very knowledgeable and conscious about, what are you creating when you're creating this automation. Okay. So while the node that we're adding in here is called an AI agent, what we're really building from the bigger picture doesn't actually qualify as an actual AI agent yet. Okay. To really call something an AI agent, you would need to build a system that doesn't even need any trigger to act. Agents simply, you kind of throw an agent into an environment, and the agent will be able to gather data and decide what to do and act on their own. It's kind of like you're genuinely like hiring someone. You're genuinely hiring someone like into the team, and you might give it some instructions and give it some context. Okay, hi, welcome to the team. This is what you're going to do this is your job, in the team. But that doesn't mean that every single day you have to meet up with that team member and say, okay, today you're gonna have to do exactly this and do it by following these steps specifically. Eventually, someone you hire into your team is gonna develop a brain or like their own instincts around this is what I wanna do, this is how I do things, and these are like some tasks that I'll achieve. That would be an AI agent, something that can literally identify tasks and solve it on its own. That's why a popular example of an AI agent is Devin. You might have heard about this software engineer that you can just like hire as, this like software called Devin that you can hire as like an extra software engineer in your team. I would search that up as an example of an AI agent, but you'll see how Devin is designed to literally be autonomous. Like just add it to your team and it can automatically start working like another software engineer. So what we're building here has a trigger, right? We literally just added a trigger, okay, called a chat message to the start of our workflow. That's the reason why we're not building an agent. We literally still need to add a trigger. We need to write a very, very detailed sequence of tasks. And that's what makes it an AI workflow instead, the fact that there's a trigger and a series of predefined tasks. I hope that was very clear to showcase the difference between AI agents and AI workflows. But I understand that, if you see the word AI agents in this node, you're gonna notice that this node is called an AI agent because it can become autonomous, if you make it complex enough. But that's simply not what we're building today. Okay, so we'll just continue calling this node an AI agent to make it very, very clear, like this is what you're clicking on. But be very mindful that overall, what you're still building is a workflow and not an agent. Cool. Phew. Okay. I hope that was all good. And let's try to summarize what we've just explained into an answer for our documentation. We connected our trigger with an AI agent node. AI agents are autonomous systems that can decide on tasks and carry out actions without triggers or predefined steps. But in this project, we are building a workflow which does require triggers or steps. Okay. If you'd like, you can always change this to saying, but we are building a workflow, which is, a step towards eventually creating an AI agent. It's totally up to you how you'd like to interpret this prompt. Great. And we are going to now configure that AI agent. All right, back here now. So when you configure an AI agent, just know that every single page you look at looks a little bit like, oh my God, what's going on here? There's so many boxes. But let us simplify it into 3 panels. Left-hand side here are inputs. It's what goes into your AI agent. What is the information your AI agent node is going to receive? In this case, the input is the chat message that you put into your chat. Right-hand side, output. What is your AI agent going to produce at the end? What is the results that it's going to do? Is there any information that it needs to pass on to the next thing that will go into output? The middle is your setup. So how is it going to turn that input into output? You're going to need to set up the how that's in the middle here. So to get a feel of what our AI agent is, let's really get to know the settings that are in the middle now. Okay, so in the middle section, let's check that we're using a tools agent. Okay, are you using a tools agent? Great, you are. So there are there are different kinds of ways you can set up your agent here. And the tools agent is basically the agent that's going to be carrying out tasks using tools. Our agent is going to be automating our calendar and creating new events. Because of that, it's going to need your Google Calendar as a tool, and then it's just going to be carrying out those tasks for you. You can see that there are very different types of agents for different kinds of tasks. Something that's really fun, for example, is a plan and execute agent, which is like multi-step problems. So we have an example for every single kind of agent that you can learn about. But an example of the plan and execute agent is if you had a workflow that says, can you just become my wedding planner? Can you become my party planner? And you need to, step 1, find the venue. Step 2, organize the speaker schedule. Step 3, notify and send emails to the attendees. Like that will become a very, very complex agent. So you call that the plan and execute agent. But yeah, in our project guide, you have an example and an explanation for all of the different options there. So I'd highly recommend checking out the project guide. All right, our agent is the tools agent, so we can move on to the next thing, which is the source for prompt. Middle option now. The source for prompt, in short, means how is it going to understand the task that it needs to carry out. In our case, the chat message is going to tell you. It's gonna tell it like this is what you need to do. So we're gonna use chat trigger node. And then that's it. We're gonna go back to Canvas and we'll get to know some of these later on in this project and for the rest of the series. Cool. So here you are, and you're going to notice that there are 3 different sections underneath your AI agent today. There is the chat model, the memory, and the tool. Do you know what these 3 different options are? Just know that you can summarize it very quickly by saying the chat model is the brain, memory is the storage. It's how your agent is going to remember what you like and don't like. It's going to remember what you've asked it to do in the past, and things about your preferences. And then the tool are like the software, the third-party apps that it needs to carry out the task. So we're going to need to download and install a brain. The memory is honestly completely optional, and so is the tool. But in this case, we're going to skip memory because we don't need it for this workflow, but we are going to be adding a tool later on because it needs Google Calendar to schedule those events. Let's focus on the chat model first though. Let's give it a brain first. Okay, so let's take a screenshot of the AI agent and actually answer those 3 key components. So let's take a screenshot now. What do you think? I quite like this screenshot. Shows you quite a lot, doesn't it? And let's plop it in. And what are the key components of an AI workflow? Good question. An AI workflow can be broken into 3 key components, which are chat model, i.e. the brains of the agent, memory, i.e. storing past interactions and data collected, and tools, i.e. software and code to help carry out tasks. And you can also read like deeper discussions of each of those definitions. Also, this might be a fun time for me to showcase that you can also always add notes while you're learning at Nextwork. So you can always choose to explain more and learn more about a concept, or you can also add a blank note and say, for example, let's say, a tool in this workflow would be Google Calendar, because the workflow needs it to schedule new events. Yeah, that's an example note you could add by custom as well. Great. All right, and we're just going to take a quick pause here because we are about 2.5 steps deep. So this is your chance to ask any questions, and I'm also going to quickly grab a notebook. I'll be right back. All right, and thank you so much, Kemi, for saying love the new note feature. I do too. Make the most out of it. And if there are any other features we can build, let us know. As a note, by the way, I would personally turn this into the 3 components of an AI agent, because a workflow can have many components. It's more that the agent itself, that specific node, has those 3 key components. So we'll also update the project guide to reflect that in a second. Okay, so let's dive into our AI agent now, and let us talk about selecting the plus for our chat model. So we can select our chat model now. The OpenAI chat model is the one we're about to use, and this means that the brains of our workflow is going to be powered by OpenAI. Different chat models basically installs different kinds of brains. They're all very, very high-performing tools, and the reason why we're picking OpenAI today is because it can give you free OpenAI API credits. Now, why is this important? Why is this so cool? It's because usually if you want to use a chat model's services, you will need to set up access with their API, which means setting up a whole other account over at OpenAI, connecting it with your wallet, putting money into your OpenAI account, and that might take a bit of time and cost you a bit of money. But N8N and OpenAI are working together to give you free credits. So instead of having to open that OpenAI account and then putting money in your wallet, you can literally just click claim credits like this, and boom, all done. You have enough credits to help you complete this entire project without having to set up an account or put in any money, which is great. And just like that, we've set up OpenAI as our chat model. Our workflows chat model uses OpenAI's services. Usually, connecting with OpenAI requires opening an OpenAI account and adding credits into your wallet. But we could connect with OpenAI for free by claiming 100 API credits offered in N8N. Oh, I think the key thing that I might have not explained here is the reason why you would need to put money into your account is because OpenAI charges based on the number of requests you give the OpenAI chat model. So every time you put in a chat into your workflows chat, that chat needs to be processed by something, right? And that processor is OpenAI's brain. So you're kind of like sending this message over to OpenAI's brain and then asking OpenAI, hey, can you process this chat message and respond? Then OpenAI has to do the work of processing your message and sending back a response that helps you complete your workflow. That processing of your message costs energy, for OpenAI. So because of that, usually if you want to integrate your own workflow with OpenAI's brain, you will have to pay for every single request you make. And that's why it would have costed money. But in this case, we're not going to pay anything because we have API credits we can claim. Great. So the setup should autofill, like as you can see. And then we're going to use, we're going to just make sure it says N8N free OpenAI API credits here, as well as the GPT-4o mini model, which is basically a version of OpenAI's chat model that is very, very lightweight and doesn't cost lots of credits to use. Great, so we're back here now. And you can see that the chat model is now here as well as a part of your workflow. Okay, so we're gonna take a screenshot of our nodes configuration. My bad, I skipped that part. And we're gonna add that to our documentation. All right, For everyone that's asking, what are we building today? Whoa, we are building an AI workflow today. You can check out the recording or access like the full screen mode of this project demo by visiting YouTube and typing in Nextwork. Please check out Nextwork's YouTube account and you can find it all there. Okay, so we're gonna go back to our canvas now. And we have the brain all ticked off, check. That means we have something to actually process our request now. You can even give it a try. You can select chat and now type in hello again. Hello, how can I assist you today? There we go. There is a brain that can help us process our messages. What if I said book a calendar event for tomorrow? I can't directly create calendar events for you, but I can help you with these steps to do so. That's not what we want. We want our workflow to literally book those calendar events for us. And that's why we're gonna still need to connect something else, which is Google Calendar, straight into the workflow. In this step, we will connect Google Calendar to our workflow so that new events can be created automatically based on commands we put into the chat. We will also start testing our workflow. Nice. So we're going to select the plus button for our tool here. And then we're going to connect to a tool. Let's use the Google Calendar tool. If you don't use Google Calendar, you can select the Outlook tool instead. But this project demo is going to focus on Google Calendar today. All right, so let us connect with Google Calendar now. In this tool, in this workflow, the tool is Google Calendar because we'll need to connect our AI agent with the API that actually creates new events. Okay, so you can think of the tool as the muscle that actually does the job, and the brain is the one that sends the instructions. Cool. So let us create a new credential now. And the credential is basically how you set up that connection to your Google Calendar. Okay, we're gonna select the account that's connected to the Google Calendar you wanna integrate with, and then select continue. Now, I can see that a part of my account already says I've connected with N8N before, classic, while I was testing this project. But you might see this, select what N8N can access. If you see this, please select all so that it can edit your events and also access your calendars. If you're worried about giving away access, just know that you can remove access very, very easily, and we'll show you how to do this at the end of the project. Once you remove that access, N8N will not be able to edit, create, manage your events anymore. It's just that you do need to give access so that your AI agent can actually do something to your calendar when you send those commands. Okay, once you're connected, you can straight away, if you see this message, you can straight away close the window and confirm that you've successfully connected to your calendar. Great, so you can take a screenshot of the successful connection. I'm just gonna do this, so let's take a screenshot of this, add it to your documentation, and let's mention how we just connected with Google Calendar. To connect with Google Calendar, you have to allow N8N access to creating and editing events and entire calendars in your account. For security best practice, it's important to delete those credentials when you no longer need it. Okay, I was trying to say at the end of this project, but we'll just say for security best practice, it's important to delete those credentials when you no longer need it for this workflow. Okay, so let's close this and now get to know the process of using Google Calendar as our muscle, as our tool. We have a tool description. Make sure it says set automatically. Is the resource, does it say event? And does the operation say create? Let's have a look. Oh, I already ticked it. But yes, resource says event, operation says create. So that's perfect. What does that actually mean though? What do these default settings actually say? So tool description is actually a prompt. If you were to select set manually, do you see? Turns out this is already written automatically for us. But this is actually a prompt that tells your AI agent what this tool does. Notice how it says a good specific description would allow LLMs, so in this case our OpenAI chat model, to produce better results. In this case, because this project is relatively simple, we can just set it automatically. But in later parts of the series, you're going to be needing to write it manually so that you can showcase some more advanced AI workflow skills. Resource, it's an event. We're not going to be controlling an entire calendar. We're just trying to create events. If you want to create new calendars, that's when you'd select calendar. But no, we just want to create events. So the operation will be create, but clearly you can see that there are different things that your workflow can do. It can delete, it can retrieve, it can update events. In this case, we just want to create some new events. And this is where you can select your calendar now. So you can select which calendar in your account you want to use, and off we go. Okay, that is your setup all done. Looking good, guys. So you have now a workflow. And as you can see, you have your trigger here, you have your agent, which is connected to a brain and a muscle. So can you see how agents are they're kind of like little runners that can complete certain tasks. And every single runner needs to have a brain and also a thing that they're here to do. So in this case, our runner, our AI agent, has a brain provided by OpenAI and will be responsible for creating events. Cool. Now the moment of truth. We're going to select the chat. We're going to open the chat window again, and let's see what it's going to do when we try to book a time in our own calendar. We're now ready to say, hello, let's book a time for, let's say 10 a.m. tomorrow. Let's say we want to book this time, but we're like on a bus, we're doing something, we don't have time to book this time ourselves. So we need to tell our assistant, can you book it for me? Book a meeting for me at 10 a.m. tomorrow. What is it going to do now? It looks like I attempted to create multiple events concurrently, but I will schedule a single event for you at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Please allow me a moment to do that. I'll set a meeting for you now. Do you see this? What is going on here, guys? What's going on here? There was multiple errors in trying to create the events. Something's up. Look at that. It created a random event at the wrong time and a lot of it. That doesn't look very right, does it? So what's happening here is clearly an error, and let's try to fix that error. Oh, by the way, you might end up seeing a different kind of error based on whatever your chat model decides to say. You know, you might have an error that says, oh, can't book it, sorry, you're busy at that time. See, that wouldn't be true either, because you need to make sure that you're asking for a time that's free in your calendar, and make sure you're asking for a time for tomorrow. Tomorrow is a key word here, so let's highlight it. And make sure it's a time that's free as well. In our case, we definitely had an error there, and you might see another kind of error that says you're busy, can't book it. If anything, just make sure that you're actually taking a screenshot so you're recording this error. Ooh. Okay, I tested my AI workflow by asking it to book a meeting for tomorrow at 10 a.m. The response was that it started booking an event for now multiple times, which is an error because it's at the wrong time, and the workflow is repeating itself. It should and maybe I should say, and the workflow should only book the event once. That's the error in my workflow. What was the error in yours? Did it misunderstand, or did it say you're busy at that time and refuse to book the meeting for you? That could be an error as well. So whatever your error is, explain that one. And we have Ria in the chat, by the way, saying hello, everyone. Hi, Ria. Good to see you here. It's always such a joy to have you in the project demos. Okay, so we'll just have to investigate what went wrong there. But for now, don't forget to just select save. And what that does is it just saves your workflow setup. Okay. Now, it's time to troubleshoot our workflow. Maybe your AI workflow tells you you're busy at a time when you're actually free. In our case, it just started booking the wrong time, and it did it like many, many times. Why is that? Whatever the error is, we can investigate it by looking into your AI model setup, and let's try to fix it together. So we're going to start analyzing your workflow's logs. We're going to troubleshoot the error in your calendar tool setup, and then we're gonna test the chat again. So really, what we're gonna do is try to figure out what's wrong, try fix what's wrong, test and see if we fixed it, and test and see if our workflow is working now. In this step, we will try to diagnose what went wrong in our workflow setup. We'll try to fix it by editing our calendar tool. Then we'll test our chat again to see if the workflow is functioning properly. Cool. Let's go for it. So let's try to fix the error in the workflow by investigating those logs. We're going to open up the chat again, and let's understand what our chat AI agent is trying to tell us. Aren't these logs so useful? It starts by saying, okay, the AI agent was woken up by the trigger. It says, book me a meeting. Book a meeting for me at 10 a.m. That's what we wrote. Google Calendar. There's no input. And then there was an output though. that said date time 2025, 29th of Jan, 2 p.m. This doesn't seem quite right, does it? We asked to book an event for 10 a.m. tomorrow, but for some reason, your calendar is outputting, oh, we should book a time for 11. And today, the 29th. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. What is going on here? And then, of course, it triggered like a whole list of the same error again and again and again. So what went really wrong here is that there was a input of nothing. Your calendar didn't receive any information about what day and what time you want to book your event. Because there was no input, your calendar now thinks, oh, I didn't get any input. I'll just use my default settings, which is to use the current time. That's the default setting. I'm going to use the current time to book an event. That doesn't seem quite right. You might notice that there's a simpler kind of log that you might get, depending on what kind of error you got. If you only had 3 logs, that's also perfectly possible. And just know that, you will still get 0 inputs. That's the key error here that you're going to pick up. Okay. Overall, what we see here is our first peek at the complexities, these hidden complexities of building that AI workflow. Even if you're using a tool that makes it pretty easy using, visual blocks, you still need to be very eagle-eyed and be very precise around whether the right kind of data is being used at every part of the workflow. In this case, it's not. The tool, the very end of our workflow, is not using the correct date to book the event. So you can take a screenshot of your output here, and let's add that to your documentation. Okay, so what did you learn from your AI agent's logs? Let's mention that here. To troubleshoot errors, you can investigate the AI agent's logs. We observed that the logs for the calendar tool showcased 0 inputs, which means, or you can say showed no input. I think that flows a bit better. Which means it's not getting any information around the time you wanted to book this event. I would say, actually, let's be a bit more specific. We observed that the logs for the calendar tool showcase no input, which means it's not getting any information around the proper start and end time for the event you want to book. All right, you got this, okay? Testing and running into errors, by the way, is a big part of the learning journey. We'll investigate how we can fix this and learn some cool things along the way. Do you have any questions so far? Feel free to add it to the chat now. Okay, but to troubleshoot it, you can visit your calendar tool, select it, and have a look at what's going on here. All right, so we have some setup going on. We are definitely sure that our tool is supposed to be creating new events in our calendar for us. But what's going on with the start and end time for the events that they're creating? What's going on? Notice how the start time says now and the end time says now plus 1 hour. Hello? Oh my goodness. That must be the reason why, instead of taking in the times that we put into the chat, it's randomly just selecting your current time. You are using the wrong reference, basically, in your tools setup. We decided to troubleshoot by reviewing our calendar tools setup. We noticed an error in the tool's start and end time configuration. By default, it takes in the current time as the start time, and the end time is simply an hour after that. I would say, actually, I'll just ignore that last part of that sentence. So by default, it takes in the current time as the start time. This ignores any input or information from the chat model. Okay, so because of that, our calendar tool is not really working properly right now. That's okay. All right, and we've got Tariq here. Thank you so much for the kind comment. Your explanations are awesome. You totally deserve more attention and a bigger audience. Well, we have you, Tariq, which is already so good, so awesome. So thank you so much for being here. All right, so to fix that error, we're gonna need to notice that we actually have a way of taking an input from our chat model. So let's look at how we can do that. Scroll to the top, and you're gonna see that there's a way to use expressions like this to get data from your AI model. Shall we put that in practice? The generic name is use the expression curly bracket from AI, placeholder name for any data to be filled by the model. So to put that into practice, what we're going to put for the start time is curly brackets from AI start time, okay? And then again, for the end time, curly brackets from AI end time. That uses information from the chat model now. Instead of just trying to intuitively taking the current time, you're using information from the AI. You might be wondering, how do we know to write in start time? How do we know to write an end time? You know, why are we using these names? So the cool thing about this is the parameter. Oh, I thought it was gonna mention it here. Ooh, it doesn't mention it. So the parameter is actually something that you pass directly into the AI, and then it's going to, what is it going to do? It's going to tell the AI, look for this information. Sorry, I got caught off guard there because I saw a comment that says you sound like an AI, which really shocked me. Sorry, Tony, I'm honestly not an AI. I think I just sound like one because I try to make my explanations as clear as possible. And if I try to enunciate things very, very clearly, I automatically start smiling a lot, which actually people have told me makes me look like an AI as well. But no, this is not an AI. I actually don't know how else I can prove it to you. Thank you for saying you got it though. Cool. All right, Tony. So something that we've learned here is that the references tell the AI automatically what kind of information you should look for. So you could actually, from here, just say, from AI email, And if you put in that reference, now your AI is going to go look for email information. But actually, we don't need that. We're just asking our AI, can you go look for end time information and use that to automatically fill in what the end time should be for your tool. Okay, so we've got that filled in now. And if you're worried that the expression times are red and it says undefined, the reason for that is simply because your AI agent just needs a new chat message to analyze and use to fill in these values. Currently, your AI agent is like, oh, start time. Like, I don't really know where to find start time information because I don't have new chat messages to analyze and find that info. So right now it's undefined, but that's okay. All you gotta do is send in a new chat message and then you're gonna see that it turns green. It's no longer red. Shall we put that to the test? We're gonna take a screenshot of the start and end times, and then we're gonna add in our explanation. Awesome. So let's take a screenshot of the start and end time now. And then we're gonna add that to our project documentation, plus talk about what we've just learned. We updated the start and end times in our calendar tool to, what do we update it to? Do you still remember? We updated it to these references. So these references are actually called JSON references. If you're new to JSON, just know that JSON is a way for you to express data in a way that makes it very, very easy for software to process that data. But if you're a complete beginner to JSON, just know that it's totally okay if you don't have JSON experience. You can still just put in your reference names, and then your AI agent is designed to understand it and pull out the right data for you. So we updated the start and end times in our calendar tool to JSON references for information our AI model will gather. For example, instead of the current time, the start time is now this reference. This tells the AI model to retrieve I would say the AI model will retrieve that data. I'm pausing here because I'm thinking, I feel like that sentence could have been better there. For example, instead of the current time, the start time is now from AI start time. Oh, okay. Which the AI model will automatically fill. I ran out of characters. Which the AI model will fill for us. All right, let's select done and move on, team. So we're gonna head back into the chat window. We're gonna test that AI workflow again. And we're gonna see whether or not our AI agent went to book an event. Does it? Shall we see? So in our chat, let us press that down arrow. Oh. And let us try to repeat that message. I just realized the chat message I sent through is not the correct one. It should have been this one for book a meeting for me at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So we're gonna send that instead. Ooh, okay, let's see. I have successfully booked a meeting for you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Here are the details. Date, tomorrow. Time, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. There's even a link to the event, which is pretty snazzy. So let's open up the event and see what's happened. What do you think is wrong here? Okay, there's something here that's incorrect. Can you tell what it is? Oh, okay, I did not mean to zoom in that much. Please don't zoom in that much. Okay, what do you think is incorrect here? You might notice that the time is completely off. 10 a.m. is correct, actually, but the date is for 2023. That's not correct. The date today, the date we're trying to book for, is in 2025 January. Okay, this is what we want to see filled by the AI. 10 to 11 a.m. at this time, January 30, 2025. It booked in the wrong time. Well, really the wrong day. So why is that? Okay. Let's check the logs again to see what went wrong and how we can fix it. Again, by the way, if you saw that your AI agent replied differently and it gave you a different kind of error like, oh, you're busy at that time, I can't book it, or it had the error of like booking something multiple times, just know that those errors are still coming from the same root problem. And what we're going to do next, ideally, will solve all of those errors. Bottom line, if you see a different error to me, that's totally possible. That's completely okay. The only time where it might be not okay is when at the very end of this project, if you're still seeing errors. That's when it's like, oh, maybe there's something we need to change about your setup. If you're still seeing errors at the very end. For now, though, we should be fine. Here's your chance to figure out why your workflow is still making mistakes on your own. So this is an option in your project guide to say, let me figure it out. Let me see if I can do this on my own. You've already learned that you can diagnose errors by going into the logs. Yeah, so you can have a play around and see whether you can solve this. This is your chance to pause the video if that's you. If you'd like to diagnose the errors together, let us click on Tell Me the Answer and talk about it. Would you also like to, I would say if you'd like, you can also, try to study this and try to have a guess around why you think that start and end time is incorrect. Okay, so the workflow is still making mistakes because in order to find your availability for tomorrow, you've been entering in the chat like book for tomorrow, but your AI agent doesn't actually know what day it is today. You haven't told your AI agent what day it is today, so your agent is just making its best guess. The calendar is now retrieving the start and end times from your AI model. You can tell it is because there is now an input. Before, the error was the fact that it had no input. But the issue we have now is that great, we're getting an input, but it's the wrong date that we're taking in. So that creates its own issues. You're now creating events for the wrong day. On our second test, our workflow successfully created an event and took an input from our AI chat model, but it still made an error in, what was the error this time? It still made an error in scheduling the right date. This was because our chat model is passing the wrong dates to our calendar tool now. We've solved one problem, we opened up another problem. That's okay, we're gonna save our workflow's progress before a final round of troubleshooting. Overall, we still made some good progress on our AI workflow. Updating the start and end time in the calendar tool, it made a difference because we now have an input. Now we just need to do a similar thing for the AI agent, because the issue is now the AI agent or the AI model is not giving the tool the right information. So you got this. We're just going to do one last edit, and then that should be the final missing piece to our working AI workflow. So welcome to step 6, and let us fix our AI agent by doing one last thing, which is to write a system message. We're going to test our chat again after we make this change, and then we're going to see our assistant book an event in our calendar. So in this step, we will write a system message for our AI agent because this is required for our AI model to know what is today's date. This should help fix the problem of scheduling events on the wrong date. If you'd like to just really confirm that there was an error with the AI model itself, you can also do a fun thing, which is to ask, what is today's date? And see how it actually tells you an incorrect date for today. What a fun way to confirm, okay, you're definitely the problem. We need to fix you. So to fix that, we're going to double click on our AI agent, and then we're going to add a system message. So let's find that option first, and then we're going to talk about what system messages mean. Let's add a system message. Here we are. Okay. Remember how just now we said that you can give your tool a specific kind of description to tell your AI agent or your LLM how to use that tool. We have the same thing here with an AI for our AI agent. A system message is a message that will be sent to the agent before the conversation starts. What does that mean? It basically means it's a prompt that tells your AI agent what to do and what kind of information it should know. If you don't enter a system message, that's us so far, your AI agent doesn't have any instructions on what it's meant to do. It also doesn't have any instructions on what is today's date. That's why it just messes up and thinks today's date is something that's completely far off. If you want to learn how to write a good system message, you will ideally learn prompt engineering. And we also have a project on prompt engineering that you can click on here and jump into straight away to learn that skill. Okay, so we have a prompt engineering for beginners project you can get into as well. So in the meantime, we're just going to enter a system message that tells your agent what it's supposed to do. You are a calendar assistant. Your job is to check my availability and create new events for times that my calendar is free. You need to use the chat model to process the user's requests, then check using the availability tool on whether that time is free. Well, this part isn't actually true anymore because we don't have an availability tool, so we actually can delete that from the template, and I'll update the project guide as well. You can use the Google Calendar tool to create a new event in my calendar if I'm available, and today's date is, here you go. Now before you enter the system message and try again, make sure you've replaced that time zone placeholder in the last line of your system message. Do you see how there is a reference here and it says datetime.now, set zone, there's a time zone reference, so on and so forth. This time zone reference you need to replace by yourself and enter your local time zone. Well, if you don't know what your time zone is, you have two choices. Your first choice is to search for a time zone manually. You have a list here that you can use to search for your time zone, and once you found it, you'll just have to copy this in. For example, this is an example of a time zone. Otherwise, you can ask an AI model like ChatGPT for help. So this is a prompt that you can use to find your time zone. Let us copy this, and off we go into ChatGPT to try get it to find our time zone for us. So let us ask, you are setting a date in the local time zone for my city. Replace the time zone placeholder to my location. The ideal output format is simply the updated reference. So this is some prompt engineering at work again. We're telling ChatGPT exactly what we want to do and what we want to see. It's going to ask for your city or your time zone and let it know where you're at. So if you want, you can put like Austin as your city, and now it will just automatically update the reference. You know, you can even play with another city. What about Wellington, New Zealand? Nice. So off it goes with just giving you the correct reference for your city. And once you have that reference, just replace the placeholder like this. And you're all done. You're all done. Nice work. Take a screenshot of the system message and let's explain what we've just learned. This time, we tried to troubleshoot the error by writing a system message, which is a prompt that gets sent to your AI agent before the conversation starts. The prompt gives the agent instructions on what it should do, I would say actually, our prompt gives the agent instructions on what to do and information on the current date. Nice. Jump back into the canvas now and let's do a final test of our workflow. What is it going to do now? Shall we have fun with it? Book a meeting for me at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Let's see what it's going to do now. I have successfully booked a meeting for you at 10 a.m. tomorrow. You can view the event here. What do you think? Is it going to work? No, it didn't. No, it did not. It did not work. Why did it not work? Why do you think the meeting is still taking place in a completely different year, a completely different date? What went wrong there? What do you think? Okay, so what went wrong there can be diagnosed, as always, with our flow, with our logs. So try to read the logs and try to see what's happened. Can you see what's happened now? In the meantime, I thought it would be a good time to just answer a few questions that's in the chat here. I have back-to-back interviews at Google and Atlassian. I'm super anxious. Any suggestions? Oh, great question. So to Marco Pierre Brown, a big shout out to you for landing those interviews at Google and Atlassian. That's already something to be so proud of, and clearly there must be a reason that got you to that stage. You know, what do you think got you to that stage? Have confidence in that first and foremost. And in the meantime, I think interviews at Google and Atlassian, it really depends on whether or not the round is technical or not. Would you like to let us know? Is it technical? It's something that's more about behavior. I'm sure a lot of that prep is going to be based on that. So let us know more. And thank you so much to... okay, we also have a few questions like Farron's asking, is this the first series of AI agents? Correct, it is. It is the first project in our AI agent series. So you're at the right place. Okay, you'll see that there is still an error. And why is that? We know that the calendar tool will literally take whatever start and end time the AI model gives it, right? You've seen it. The calendar tool is set up in a way where the start and end times need to be filled by the AI. So if there was an issue with the input, as you can see, start time looks incorrect, end time looks incorrect, it's the wrong year here. What's happened? Okay, what's happened is that the AI model still isn't giving the correct values. There is still an error on the AI side. Don't give up, you're so close. You're doing an amazing job. There's literally just one last step to do. Go back into your AI agents setup here and have a look here. There is just one thing you need to change to fix the error. You're actually looking at the solution right now. What is it? Can you see? All right, so all you gotta do is flip this from fixed to expression. Look at that. What has that changed? Okay, see this again? From expression to fixed. What's the difference? So don't forget that if you're entering references to, if you're entering JSON references, you're gonna need to tell your AI agent that this is a JSON expression so it can actually understand it and turn it into a value. Today's date is 29 of Jan 2025 and it puts in the time for you. Awesome. If you keep it as fixed, your AI agent is just going to read it as text. It's just going to read it as English, not as JSON, and it's going to get a little bit confused. This will not be helpful at all. It's still not going to know what today's date is. So that's why you need to flip it to expression. And now it's finally going to read it as JSON. So let's jump back into our canvas for the finale. We are going to first take a screenshot of our canvas looking really good. And then we're going to test our AI workflow one last time. Let's see whether or not that change really did it for us. So shall we chat with it and say, book a meeting for me at 10 a.m. tomorrow. What's it gonna do now? Fingers crossed. I have successfully booked a meeting for you at 10 a.m. tomorrow, January 30, 2025. You can view the event here. Look at that. What do we have here? Oh my gosh. It's the correct time, everyone. We did it. After a few rounds of trial and error, you have finally found a way for your AI workflow to automatically book an event in your calendar at the correct time, at the correct date. So that is a huge success. Congratulations. And let's take a screenshot. How did you update your system message to fix your workflow? On our final test, a new event was scheduled. At the right time. Because our system message was set as an expression and not fixed. This means our AI agent will get accurate information around today's date, calculated automatically at every message. Awesome. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Ariana mentioned, I thought for a moment it was wrong because I'm on the 28th here. Yeah, that's so true. That means tomorrow for you is on the 29th, whereas for me right now, tomorrow is the 30th. Does that mean your workflow is working correctly for you, Ariana? I hope so. I hope you're getting to set it up right now as well. That'll be cool. Or if you're setting it up later, sending good luck your way that it sets up at the right date. All right, but we've found our answers. We've set up a perfectly working workflow, and practice makes perfect. That was so many rounds of trial and error, but I think with every single error, we learned something new, so that was very worthwhile. It's just really good to see the difference you can make with little changes to your workflow, right? Like just changes to making it from fixed to expression. Changes like, oh, the tool's start and end time should be from the AI. Congratulations on building that AI-powered calendar assistant, and you've done a great job. So up to you now. You can wrap up your project right here, or you can choose to level it up, and I highly recommend doing this by changing up your AI's personality. Welcome to your exclusive secret mission. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to spice up your calendar assistant's personality with some next level system messages. What's happening here? You're going to change how your calendar assistant talks and how it books meetings. How you're going to do this is by using some prompt engineering skills to change out these system messages you sent to your AI agent. You've learned about system messages just now, haven't you? You know, we've already set it up here. This was our system message, and it's working pretty well. But what we're going to change now is we're going to change this message and see how it affects the way your AI agent works. Shall we unlock the secret mission? Boom, nice work. Okay, so in the secret mission, we will use advanced prompt engineering skills to change the way our AI assistant works. We'll do this by updating our agents system message. Nice, almost done. So let's see how you can just spice up the calendar assistant with changes to the system message. We have the AI agent settings open. You're gonna now delete everything that's inside, and you are going to add a new prompt inside. What does that new prompt say? The new prompt says, you're an overly enthusiastic calendar assistant ready to supercharge my schedule with joy and exclamation points. Don't forget to, again, change that time zone reference over to something that is your time zone. And once you put it in, you should be ready to go. Okay, so it's going to handle your meeting requests with peak energy now. Let's see what happens to your tone of voice, to your AI agent's tone of voice. Shall we test it? For our project extension, we updated our AI agent's system message. changes we made include the tone of voice of our agent from professional to enthusiastic. And was there anything else? If you'd like, you can also mention that the role has slightly changed to be about responding with excitement, just being very, very excited to even do things like finding another time that could work better if you're already busy at a certain time. There's a lot more detail you can add here. So overall, I would say just changing the tone of voice of the agent pretty much wraps up all of those details. So you can just put in like a quick answer as well if you'd like. Head back to the canvas and let's start a new chat. Let's start a new chat. And let us book a meeting. So let's say, can I schedule a meeting for tomorrow, 5 p.m.? Let's see, what is it gonna say? Oh, it seems like we have a few errors here. It looks like we have a few errors because of the way that it keeps scheduling some events. So I think there might have been an error in the prompt. We'll have to investigate what happened there. But for now, I think the key here is to understand, look at that change in the way your AI model has responded to you. Oh no, it seems that tomorrow at 5 p.m. it's already booked up with some exciting events. Look at all this. Exclamation marks, emojis, don't worry, fabulous, amazing meeting. Let's get this party started. Your AI agent, your AI chat model is responding in such a different voice now. And it seems like it hasn't actually booked in any events for us, which is good because we don't want it to just randomly book in times. But if anything, it does seem like it was triggered by wanting to check out a few options for us. What happened here? I'm quite curious myself. Ah, interesting. So it did actually schedule in some times, and these times are wrong, clearly. I wonder what went wrong with our AI agent here. Did I put in the wrong time zone? This actually seems right. The time zone, Auckland, 29th of Jan at 12. This seems actually correct to me. So what's going on? I feel like sometimes with prompt engineering, something we've learned in some of our previous projects is that the bigger the prompt, the more overwhelmed your tool might be. And there's a chance that we actually overwhelmed our agent here by putting in like a big prompt. I'm surprised because this is my first time actually seeing our AI agent do that. I haven't seen it do this before. This is definitely something to investigate, but I think I might know why. I think the reason for this is because I put in a time where my calendar is actually busy. What would happen if my calendar was free? Would it have made the same mistake? What happens if I say, can I schedule a meeting for tomorrow at 2 p.m.? Oh my goodness, let's kick off some fantastic planning. I'm diving right into the calendar to see if we can score some amazing time for that meeting at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Hold on to your hats. Checking calendar. Now it's stuck. I would say there might actually be something wrong with the AI agent system message here. Do you get the same error? I wonder what's happened. I do think we still learned something new, although I have to say this error is a bit of a mystery to me too. I wonder why it hasn't been able to schedule in events for us. We'll have to come back to this in the next project. It genuinely could be an error in the prompt. Maybe the prompt went a bit too far in how many instructions it gave it. I wonder what it could be. In the meantime, we'll answer this and say, when we tested our workflow again, we noticed that the AI agent responded with a lot of enthusiasm, emojis, and exclamation points. This is a completely different tone of voice and energy to how it talked before. Interesting, eh? And now let's try another system message. I'm curious to see whether or not that error is going to happen here, but fingers crossed, we're going to see a more straightforward result. Now we're going to change up the prompt. We're going to open the AI agent settings again, and then we're going to clear the system message that's inside. Now let's try a different system message. We're going to add this new prompt and see what changes. Again, please make sure that your time zone is using the correct reference. And have a think about what the system message is going to do to your agent. The system message programs your AI agent to follow some unique rules, like meetings have to start at prime numbered minutes, or meetings can only be booked on even numbered days. So there are some weird rules that your AI assistant needs to follow now. Let's put it to the test. If it works, you can really see how system messages can do more than changing tone of voice. You know, a system message can also add constraints, like you can only book events at these times. So let's give that a go, and let's start a new chat. So let's give it the same prompt. Can we book a meeting for tomorrow at 2 p.m.? Let's see what happens now. To keep the cosmic balance of the universe intact, I can only book meetings on even numbered day. Since tomorrow is 30th, which is perfect, let's proceed. However, we also need to adhere to prime numbered minutes. Would you be okay with starting at 2:03 or 2:07 instead? Just let me know if you're in the mood for it. Oh my goodness. So as you can see, our agent here is sticking to the rules very, very closely. It checked if tomorrow is an even numbered day. Okay, it is, fine, we can book it. And then it checked, is it a prime numbered minute? No, it's not. 2 p.m. is not, so we must start with a prime numbered minute. Do you want to do this time instead? Okay, and then it also has a mood check. Before proceeding to book a meeting, always ask the user if they are in the mood for it. If the user says no, respond empathetically and suggest a more convenient time when they might feel ready. Anyway, let's say we're in the mood. Let's say let's start at 2:03 p.m. Before we book this meeting, may I ask if you're in the mood for it? So it's very persistent now. It definitely needs to do that mood check with us. Yes! Woohoo! It sounds like you're in the fantastic mood. Oh, okay. So again, there is something to do with our prompt that needs to change. Can you tell why the prompt didn't, like saying yes, didn't just book in a meeting? There's an answer for this. Why do you think just saying yes didn't help us book the meeting? It's because we don't have a memory intact. There is no memory. Our AI agent doesn't have any built-in memory to help it remember what was the previous chat that we had. So with that limited memory, it probably already forgot what happened here. So what are we gonna do? Either one, put in a memory so it remembers our chat, or two, you're gonna have to be very specific in your messages so that it can get all of the information and book something in for you straight away. So what if we said, can we just book a meeting for tomorrow, 2:03 p.m.? we're definitely in the mood for a meeting. What is it gonna do? Wow, interesting. I think there is something up with our OpenAI chat model. Are we restricted by a chat model today? It seems like it's just made a mistake. Tomorrow's date is an odd numbered day. 30th of Jan is not an odd numbered date, so there was an error there. And according to the cosmic balance of schedulings, I can only book meetings on even numbered days. How about we aim for an even day instead? The next even day is February 2nd. Let's see what happens if we follow this. Yes, book an event for the next even day. For 2:03 p.m. And yes, I'm in the mood for this meeting. Wow, so you can really now see the limitations of your prompt and your model based on how you build your workflow. This is such a good learning. So again, it forgot all of the context because there's no memory. It forgot everything. And depending on how you set up your prompt, it seems like it can make mistakes like mistaking 30th of Jan to be an odd number day when it's actually an even numbered day. So we have some limitations here, but at least we have also learned something from this chat. Which is the fact that your system message can definitely add limitations to your AI workflows functionalities. All right, let's mention that. You can also set up constraints with your system message. We did this by telling the AI agent that it can only book in events on even numbered days and prime number minutes. As a result, our workflow needed to make sure our request meets constraints. As a result, our workflow needed to check our as a result, our workflow will only book events that meets. I would say, as a result, our workflow will not book events until constraints are met. Great. So congratulations on completing that secret mission as well. I know there were a few limitations. It didn't seem like it completed the task perfectly once you change the prompts. So why is that? Is there any way you can make sure your AI workflow is foolproof? That's why there is the rest of this series, where you really build the quality of your workflow and eventually work towards an agent. Before we go though, this is your chance to start deleting your resources. So you won't be charged for leaving resources in your account, but we do recommend removing some credential information. This will just make sure that you don't share your calendar details with NAN anymore. Here are the resources to delete. You can check them off once you're done. And here are the instructions to delete them as well. So for us, you can go into your overview here. You can click save if you'd like to save those changes. But what's important is you go into credentials and you delete the credentials to your Google Calendar. Okay, so once it's done. If you're ready to fully wrap up this project and you don't need this workflow anymore, you can just click on this and select delete to remove it. So that's completely up to you. You also have the choice to delete those test events in Google Calendar. If you don't need this, you can select it, take it away, take it away, take it away, like that. Okay, so absolutely I'd recommend doing that as well, just to keep your calendar tidy, but this is completely optional too. Okay, so let's wrap up with a quick recap of what we've learned today. Services we used were N8N and OpenAI, and what else? Google Calendar. Key concepts and skills we learned were how to set up an AI workflow, workflows versus agents, credentials, JSON expressions, and analyzing logs from an AI agent to troubleshoot errors. That's been a pretty handy skill. How long did this project take you? This project took us approximately, I just realized it took us approximately 2 hours, including demo time. But if you are doing this project completely by yourself and scanning the project doc, you can definitely do this in an hour. The most challenging part was troubleshooting the errors, fixed versus expressions is an important detail. Fixed versus expressions. Using fixed versus expressions in a system message was an important detail, but it's also easy to miss, wasn't it? It was most rewarding to use different. It was most rewarding to see the difference a system message makes. It was most rewarding to see the difference a tailored system message can make. So, why did you do this project today, and did it meet your goals? Let's answer that too. This project was useful for getting an intro to AI automations, workflows, and eventually building an AI agent. This project met our goals because we got to set up a working prototype by the end. That is true. And that's a wrap. Congratulations. You've just built an awesome AI workflow, and you've learned how to use N8N integrated with ChatGPT or really OpenAI, and integrate Google Calendar as well. As you might imagine, there is a lot more that you can explore with this workflow. So next up in the AI agent series, we're going to be talking about how we can build a more in-depth workflow. How would you make it come up with the event title and description? How would you make it do more, add more features? How would you make the chat public to the world so clients can book meetings with you? How would you trigger this workflow with an email instead of a chat message? There's so much you can do to really spice up your workflow here, and you'll get to explore these features and more in the next part of the series. So I hope you're just as excited as we are, and we'll catch you then. Of course, don't forget that you can generate your documentation, and look at this beauty that you're about to generate. Whoop. Select download documentation, and let's have a look. Cool. So we have a no-code AI workflow documentation here. It collects everything that we've written, um, and it's honestly a great roundup of the learnings and your process too. So you can easily share this with someone else to share with them A, what you've done and what you've learned, and B, how they can do the same thing. How detailed is this? My goodness. There's even a special bonus page that you get if you try out the secret mission on system messages. Cool. Finally, as a final touch, you can share all of this on LinkedIn. So you can, over here, change this to a reference to next work. Like this. Scroll down, remove this reference, and add a document instead. So I'm just adding a document here. Choose file. Oof. Choose file, and oh my goodness, this is a whoa. Choose file, and then choose the file that you just downloaded. Cool. And then when you're ready, you can select done and you can post. Cool. Nice work, everyone. That brings us to a close for today's project. That was so much fun. Great work building a workflow. And I hope you enjoy sharing this project with your network, saving it in your portfolio, or just using it as a reference in the future when you're ready to build your next workflow. All right, well, that's a wrap for this project. If you have any questions, please ask it in the community. We're at community.nixert.org, or you can also get in touch by adding a comment in this video as well. Stay in touch, subscribe to the Nixert YouTube channel to stay up to date with all of our projects. And we'll see you in the next part of this AI agent series. Awesome. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for today. See ya. Thank you so much. And shout out to Marzena. Bye.